Hello and welcome. I'm Yvonne Gamble, co-founder of Women Leading Change Now, and we want to welcome you to our United Nations. This is the 65th convening of the Conference on the Status of Women. I'm bringing together several women from across all different aspects of industries, of life around the United States and throughout the globe. And they are talking about their impressions of what's going on in the status of women as it relates to their industries. The woman that I'm about to bring up now, Katherine Ann Clayton, is definitely someone you want to hear from. So I'm not even going to try. This woman does so many different things and does them so well. She's received several awards for doing them, and her clients love her. As a matter of fact, she even has an event that's coming up in May. I'll give you a little secret. She will put you in front of 100,000 people, but she'll tell you more. So let me bring her up, and we're going to talk to her right now. Hello, Katherine. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hello. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Now you're coming into us from Dallas, or where in Texas?
Well, it's not a little town anymore. It's Plano, Texas, which we are about a mile from the Dallas border. It's north of Dallas. So the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Oh, yes. I'm very familiar with Dallas. I used to live in Dallas, and my daughter, she's actually the director of counseling for Plano High Schools.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So, yeah, she's been down there now for probably about 12 years. So she loves it there. And she, finished up her undergrad and her master's. So she decided to become a Texan.
All right. I have a junior in high school and a ninth grader. So.
Okay. Well, that is wonderful. That's wonderful, boy. To see these kids grow up and, stretch out.
Absolutely.
I wanted to just spend some time with you going over some strategies to build business. As you know, this is the United Nations, so we're broadcasting obviously, from New York and, in the United States, but we're broadcasting around the world, and everybody wants to know, how to be in business. If they're going to go in business, they're going to do it for themselves. They have to understand the strategies. It's not just simply, okay, this is what I want to do, let me go do it. So you're the best person that I know who can actually address this. So just give us a little bit about, who is Katherine? How did you do it? And, what do you do?
Well, I'm Katherine Ann Clayton, and I do go by Katherine Ann. Everybody calls me Katherine, and I'm like, that was a old friend that I didn't like anymore. So I am Katherine Ann, and I'll tell you, I was a teacher for 21 years, and then after I had my second child, I wanted to be home with my kids, and I got bored really fast. So I went into corporate America, and when I went into corporate America, I quickly rose in the ranks. I just started as a kind of part-time job, and then again I got bored. I'm a very driven woman, and a woman that really goes and gets what I want. So I went in and I literally walked in the president's office and asked for a sales job. I showed him what was going on wrong in the company and how I could improve it. I told him what I could do and how I could improve it. He noticed things that were going on because I brought him to the forefront, and he eventually really hired me to start selling. The last 4 years that I was in the corporate world, I was the number one salesperson in the division. I sold my average contracts a month was about 100 to 125 in a month, which was unheard of because the people that were in the sales division were only selling 20 to 30 contracts a month. So quickly rose to the ranks in there. And what happened was a lot of things happened, and I really wanted to be a present parent. My daughter looked at me one day when I said, "Hey, mommy's going to help you." She looked at me and said, "Oh, mommy, you're too grumpy. You need to work and you're tired all the time. I'm going to ask daddy." Well, if that didn't hit me in the heart, I knew that something had to change, but I wasn't quite sure. Then a lot of things happened stacked on top of each other. My commissions got cut 90%, and I looked at my husband and said, I've got to make a change. Can I leave my job? And he was like, oh, no, you're making a lot of money, but you know what? I've got you, and we can do this. So I moved, I left, walked out, came home, and thought, what am I going to do? What in the world am I going to do? I started searching online, started going through things, and I quickly found LinkedIn, which is simply, just so that you know, is a strategy. Now, I believe now, that was almost 6 years ago in May, I believe now, after going through jumping into LinkedIn, there were a lot of things that I did wrong. And a lot of things that I don't coach, because I believe that there is a hierarchy in what you have to know to get a business going. First of all, you have to know what stage of business that you're in. Now, I'm not going to go into all that because that is a totally different, aspect and a whole training that I could go on that. But you really need to know where you are in business, because there's different strategies that you need for every single stage of business that you're in. Now, if you're searching online, everybody's going to say, you need a funnel, you need, a web page, you need all these things. But if you are just starting out, you don't need a funnel. You don't need a web page. You need to learn how to make sales. So there are different strategies. Again, I use several different strategies, but I do suggest that people literally start with one strategy and get that down where they can do it behind their back, blindfolded. I will tell you that my strategy was LinkedIn. And I can tell you that when I was on vacation one time, this is really a crazy story, but we were out of the country and the internet was really bad. And I was able to call my son, who at the time was 10, and say, I need you to push this button, this button, this button. Then I need you to type this. Then I need you to do this. And he actually did it, because I knew how to do LinkedIn backwards and forward. I've since added other strategies, and they're all different kinds of strategies that you do for your business. But you've got to be in a strategy for the stage of your business. So that's kind of how I started in business, and it just kind of multiplied and I started growing. And now what I do is I help people take their ideas or their side hustle, and we create a business out of it. I teach them from A to Z on how to start it. I'll give you an example. One of my clients simply had an idea of where he wanted to go in his business. He started working with me, and in 53 days, he made over $12,700 with working with me. He was very scared to jump in, but he went ahead and jumped in with me. Now we're going on our 7th month. He's actually walked out of his corporate job. He has 4 employees now, and he is about to hit the 6 figures with his business. Now, I also want to tell you this. He lives in Manhattan. So you know that the cost of living is very expensive. So I have lots of different clients that have done that have really thrived in their business. And so it's important, if you're out there, and it doesn't have to be me, but anybody, have a coach if you're wanting to have a business. I have 3 coaches right now. I work with a mindset coach, I work with a business coach, and I also am working with a speaking coach. So we always have to level up, and it's really important that you have a coach. So that's kind of how I got started, and that's kind of the nuts and bolts of everything. So,
okay, go ahead.
No, so I was looking at the question that you have. So
and you've actually been answering the question. If you want to add something else to it, by all means.
Well, I will tell you that what it's like for women working in my industry is, if you don't know this is kind of a crazy statistic, and I didn't know this. Women are 53% better at sales than men. So get out there and start selling your stuff. Yes. Isn't that crazy? And,
wow.
And women are really driven to get out there and do the stuff, because think about it. We're raised to be able to manage everything. We're doing the laundry. We're cooking the dinner. We're taking carpool. We're doing everything. So you can do it all. You don't have to be Superwoman. You've just got to learn how to put it all in a container. So, women working in this kind of industry can make tons and tons of money if that's what they want to do. They can make an extra 500 if that's what they want to do, or they can make 5,000 or 500,000. It all depends on what their vision for their life is.
Okay, I like that. I love it. I love it. And that just, you're making it sound very easy. And so that's why, I just want to kind of just jump right in and say it's obviously, or is not so obvious, but how easy is it for, a woman or for anyone to become an entrepreneur in this field that you're in?
I think that we're in an unprecedented day and time. And the best thing that has ever happened to me, and you're going to think I'm crazy, Yvonne, when I say this, but was the pandemic. And we're going to talk about that later. But everything is virtual now. Everything is virtual now. And so I can, with my speaking, I can reach out to people in New York City and speak on a stage like this one that's in New York that maybe I couldn't have flown there. I couldn't have gotten there, or I had a conflict with my family or my husband or my kids or something. You can virtually be anywhere. You can speak in China. You can speak in Indonesia. So it's very easy for you to access what you need. Now, what is not easy is being consistent about it and having the drive to do it. Because you've got to be consistent, because you're not going to just reach out to somebody and they're going to buy your product like that. You may, if they do, that's great, or your service like that. But you've got to be consistent in the way that you reach out to people. And the great thing is you get to choose if you want to be an online marketer, if you want to be a speaker, if you want to be a coach. As long as you're adding value to people, then you can create a business out of anything.
I see. All right. And that's what we need to be able to do. That really is. And what I want to do right here, it's a little bit out of order, but I think it's in order and perfect, simply because Katherine is giving us just such a dynamic strategy and what you can do. And I'm definitely going to be calling on her after this for some of those strategies, some of those things. Before she shares with you the blueprint to profit and tells us all about that, I will share with you that especially for women in certain fields, like in the field that I'm in as a venture capitalist, sometimes, yes, we have moved way up in our fields, but we see the need, at levels. I see the need at the credit level, and the business credit with companies, what have you. But to be able to sell into that area, guess what, people? I don't know how. Because the clientele, I don't sell to that clientele. My clientele is totally, it's totally different. It's at a totally different level. And so sometimes we have a need, and we could better serve the top end if we can serve the bottom end, and vice versa. And so therefore, I'm saying that to you to say, don't be afraid to reach out to a person like Katherine, no matter what area or where you may be, at the level in your business. She can help you. She can help you from starting out, like she did the gentleman, out of New York, where, he came to her with an idea. And I know that I know most certainly after hearing that, I know she could help someone like me who is well in at the venture capital to be able to go back and help people who are, just needing to build their business credit.
Absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Katherine and have her tell us all about this blueprint to profit call.
So the Blueprints to Profit call is really a gift to you. What we are going to do on this call is we are going to map out what you really want to create. Now, I've worked with people that are already making $25,000 a month and they want to go to 30,000. I've worked with people that are making zero and they want to just make 500. So there is a gamut. And so this Blueprint to Profits call, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk to you. Now, when I say sit down, it's going to be virtually on Zoom. And we are going to really just kind of map out what you want and how you are going to be able to create that. So I'm going to give you one or two takeaways that you can actually take and go and implement immediately. And you can start making money that way. I also, in most of these calls, depending on where the call leads, because I'll be honest with you, all the calls are not the same because every individual is not the same. So I ask different questions to really get you to start thinking about what you can build or what you are building and how we can level you up to the next level. So lots of these calls, I give what I call a profit pyramid so that you can start creating profits. But we're going to really dive deep into your vision, what you want for your life and your business, and how I can suggest different ways that you can get there. It's completely free. It's a complete conversation. We spend about 30 minutes together, and then we talk about next steps. So it's really a fun call. I love doing them. They are a lot of fun, and it's fun to see, I have people that want to build Etsy stores. I have people that just want to create clients. I have people that want to figure out how to sell. I run the gamut as being a business coach. I have, people that want to learn how to do Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you're wanting to learn Instagram, I am not your girl. However, I can tell you somebody that is your girl or man or whoever that can help you get there, because I've had coaches that teach me that. And that's the great thing about this call is if I'm not the person to help you or I can't get you where you're going to, I have a huge database of people that I can send you to. And I often have said, hey, you really need to contact this person. And I will send them an email and say, so-and-so, you need to talk to this person. I think you can really help them better than me. It's all about giving in this call.
Okay, excellent. I love that. And you touched on this several times. So now we can dig into this pandemic to 2020. 2020 roared in here. It shocked everybody. It wasn't, I think we thought we were just going to dance the night away all the way through to the end of the year. But
absolutely.
We did not. So, what can you tell us? I know you were saying it was probably for your industry, probably the best of times.
Yeah, well, for me, it really was the best of times because I will be honest with you, and I learned this very quickly. Everybody was talking about you've got to pivot, you've got to pivot. And I will tell you something. If Joyce, you were on this screen and I said to you, hey, Joyce, I want you to pivot. You're going to turn. If I say pivot again, you're going to turn, and you're going to just keep turning around in a circle, right?
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to do in business.
Yeah.
We have to shift. We had to shift what we were doing, and we had to change things. And in the beginning, it was so hard because, my husband, he's literally right there. My kids were at home all of a sudden. We went on spring break and we came back and we never went back to school. So instead of pivoting, I had to shift. And that's when people that were going to really start to build a business were coming out of the woodwork because they were stuck at home. Their jobs were getting laid. They were getting laid off from their jobs, and they had to create something. So the people that are driven and the women that were driven were the people that reached out to me. And I'll be really honest, and not to brag, but to give you some hope that you can do this today, tomorrow, or the next day. I tripled my business in March. I had so many clients that I really didn't know what to do. And I was kind of going, oh my gosh, it was a great blessing. But I tripled my business in March, and it just kept rolling. And if people knew, instead of looking at this pandemic of, oh my gosh, it's horrible. It's horrible. We have, I'm at home. My husband's driving me nuts. My kids are driving me nuts. What I tell my clients is, the pandemic didn't make these problems happen.
Right.
They just exasperated what was going on. Mm-hmm. So if you had a money problem, it got worse. If you had a relationship problem, it got worse. If you had a health problem, it got worse because you were sitting around eating bonbons all day long, right?
That's right.
It didn't make anything worse. You've got to flip your mind, and what I call them nuts, I'll give you a little nugget. You have to change those nuts in your head, and make them positive. What I call nuts are your negative, undesirable thoughts.
Ah, okay.
And instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm stuck here with my husband all day, you've got to figure out and shift, how can it work? My husband and I both, we don't work together, but we work together in the same office. And he's on calls, and so am I. So when I'm on a call, and he knows that I'm on the call first, he'll go and work in the bedroom, or we'll flip-flop. You kind of just saw him, if you saw him walking out of the room. He knows that I'm on an interview. So it's about shifting, and it's about looking at the pandemic as, you know what, this didn't happen to me, but this happened for me.
For me, yes.
And
I love that.
That person that came to me with his idea, he came to me right during the pandemic, because all of a sudden Manhattan was shut down, New York City was shut down, and now he had time to do his job, but also work on what he really wanted to do on the sidelines.
Yeah. And I see that with a lot of people. There were a lot of people who were disenfranchised, I think, and really wanted to get out and really wanted to strike out. And when the pandemic hit, it gave them that opportunity. There was no choice, no more excuses.
Absolutely.
As far as what they had to do.
Absolutely.
But this here is kind of like our wrap-up question, and we make certain that we address the equality, because that was one of the reasons why the United Nations Women convened the status on women, back 65 years ago. And that was to address the equality, was what was actually then the highest issue that we had. And so I just wanted to, just from your perspective in your industry, how does that fit? It looks, from what you're saying, like it kind of leveled the playing field.
Oh, I think that women have leveled the playing field. I actually think that in my industry that women have up-leveled and bust that glass ceiling, if you will, in the coaching industry. We as women have a different kind of communication with people. I will say, at one point in my career, about a year ago, I was like, I only work with women. And then my husband looked at me after about 3 months of me saying, I work with women entrepreneurs. He was like, Katherine Ann, half of your clients are men. Why are you saying this? and it's because women are strong. So I wanted to work with women, and I would say that out loud. And then the strong, non-arrogant men would send me message and say, I know you say you work with women only. Will you work with me? I'll be like, let's get on a call. Women are so powerful, and we need to step up into our power. We need to realize again that we are powerful. We are not in the 1960s or the 1940s. But the only thing about women is you got to go out and claim it for yourself. You've got to put your stake in the ground like they did when they were creating America. And you need to say, I'm going to take this for myself. I don't need to ask anybody anything for what I'm going to do with my life. And I personally believe that when I'm talking to a woman and she says to me as an objection, I've got to go talk to my husband. Now, I may not say this to the person, but I feel like that now they have a relationship problem because she's not willing to put that stake in the ground and go and enroll her husband in the choice that she made. I often say, well, go get him and let's talk about it right here on the call. And they're like shocked because they don't want to do that. So put your stake in the ground, and life is an enrollment game. Make a decision and make it fast. And I want you to know that the people that make fast decisions are those people like Tony Robbins, like Les Brown, like all of these huge influencers that are out there making a difference. And what I also say to people is make a decision and make it fast, but make a decision and then make it right. Stop looking for the right decision.
Well, I love that. You know, that's interesting. When you were saying that, make a decision and make it fast, I had to, I swallowed there because my sister, God rest her soul, that was her standard. That she said that to everybody. And I know it, my children know it, her children know it, her grandchildren know it. That was her line. She said, make that decision and make it quick.
Yeah, because you're going to mess up. And what's the worst thing when you mess up? You learn from your mess up and you don't do it again.
Exactly. You learn, you keep on going. And so that is wonderful. So thank you so much, Katherine. I look forward to working with you. And I'm going to put this back up on the screen again because this will be on Katherine's speaker page. It'll be up for 2 weeks, March 15 through the March 26. It'll be up. And then I'm sure she'll be advertising and marketing this as well. But you can definitely go and click on this speaker page. Get on the call.
Absolutely.
Get on the call. Get on with life. Do you have any other nuggets that you might want to share before we go, Katherine?
No, just go out and get this. Money is abundant. Money is everywhere. And a lot of people use money as an excuse, but you can create money out of nothing. I could look in this room right now and I bet I could create $100 out of what is sitting in my office right now. It's just a matter of if you have the imagination to go out there and get what's yours. I mean, it's biblical. Money is abundant and it's for everybody. So get on the call. I mean, we will have a conversation. We'll talk about what you really want to do with your life and how you can get into profits really fast. I'm excited to visit with y'all. And when you register or when you put in the comments that you saw me here so that I'll know that that I found you here or you found me here. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And so we'll put that on her speaker page. You'll put in WLCN in the comments, and that way she'll know that you found her here at Women Leading Change Now. Thank you so much, Katherine, for being a guest on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.